Welcome to Excalibur's 2016 YFS debates. Today we are joined by the candidates running for VP Operations. The debates will take the following format. First, the candidates will give a brief introduction, then there will be a set of questions to ascertain their stance on a number of issues, followed by closing remarks. Without further ado, here are the candidates.
Hi everyone, my name is Mary Asekome. I'm currently an international student and I'm studying communications here at York, and I'm running for VP Operations with the Team Student Action.
Hey everyone, my name is Rahual Talwar. I'm running for the Vice President of Operations position with the team Lift YU for the YFS elections in 2016. I'm currently a political science and economics double major at York University in my third year.
Great. So my first question, and this will be for both candidates, we can start with Mary. My first question was, how will you ensure the YFS budget is transparent?
Okay, so right now, as you know, there's been a lot of talk about the budget, and currently the YFS budget is online and it's as clear as possible. And if anybody needs more explanation as to what the budget is, there's staff in the office that are always ready to talk to you, and execs are always on the floor ready to talk to folks about that. So yes.
Right.
I sincerely believe since I haven't held office, I wouldn't know how the budget exactly, like what the exact cutoff for the budget is. However, I do have to an extent a knowledge on what the amount for the budget is. I believe that there should be a forensic audit conducted by a third party on the audit and then presented to the students and be completely accessible, instead of having the actual people in the offices provide the budget and then explain it, because we know exactly how that works out when even governments present their own budget. It's in their own light. You understand what I mean, right? It's always to kind of represent their favor. So it should always be a third party conducting that audit on the budget and then presenting it to the students.
Okay.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
So there's actually a third party that conducts the audit, and it's Grant Thornton, and usually the audit is presented at the annual general meeting for the YFS York Federation of Students. So if you came to the last AGM, which was last semester, you would have seen the budget and it was explained to folks.
The problem with that, with the person selected to that budget is the person selected is also selected by the YFS. There should be a separate financial office that actually overlooks this and selects a individual that will represent a non-biased view on anyone, and actually present an audit that doesn't have any form of influence. It's completely neutral. And I believe that if the YFS selects a candidate and then asks them to conduct an audit, there is some sort of a problem there as well. I'm not kind of trying to imply anything. What I'm trying to say is just I don't feel comfortable with that idea. I'd rather have a completely neutral party do it.
So I also noticed, Mary, as I mentioned before, in your campaigning material, you mentioned you wanted to run the YFS on a balanced budget. So what are some things you will do to ensure the budget is balanced?
Okay, so basically the thing about the budget is usually based on priorities. So there's a lot of things that are very important. A lot of things are important to the York students, but there's some things that are on the short run that will benefit the students, and there are things that are equally on the long run that will benefit the students. So basically we'll try our best to make sure that everybody gets the priorities and everything will be clearly stated out.
Okay, so I personally believe that since I haven't been in office yet, I haven't been able to go over the exact budget or the exact expenditure rate. However, the audit, as Mary mentioned, is available online. To a limited extent, I feel like there is a forensic audit needed over the actual expenditure. Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide a valid answer for how we would keep the balance, the budget balanced. But what I do understand is we need to address our priorities, and we need to look over what's important for the students and put the budget towards that use. And then later, I mean, again, this entire budget is meant for the students, right? So we need to put it towards the priorities, and later whatever comes after that.
Okay. And my last question is really fairly open-ended. I would really love to get all your feedback on this. It's, what are some practical changes that you would conduct if elected?
All right, so one thing that I wanted to do was basically lobby the administration to get more parking spaces on campus, because at the end of the day we're a commuter school, and for some students it's actually more convenient for them to drive on campus than to take transit. And I think it's unfair that we pay a lot of money already and students come on campus and it's hard for them to find parking. They go to class late and they still end up getting high ticket fares. So definitely that's something I'm going to do, lobby the administration to make sure that those ticket fines are reduced used, and to make sure that they actually investigate, creating more parking spots on campus. Another thing that I wanted to do was try to increase or double base club funding, and that's because I've been part of clubs, and I understand how increasingly difficult it is for clubs to, try to, I guess, carry out events and all of that. So when we double that Blaze Club funding, we can basically reach out to a lot of clubs. And adding to that, I wanted to introduce a way where clubs could make their own swag. That's why I wanted to introduce the body making machines. And I personally have made buttons. It takes less than 2 minutes. It's such a stress reliever. Everybody's gonna have fun making these buttons. And I mean, we all have like buttons, but it's from like YFS and all those other things. How about like every club has, buttons? I mean, they're fashionable. You could wear it on your jacket, you could wear it on your shirt, you could wear it on your backpack. So those are some of the things I wanted to do. And as an international student, I also understand that, people usually have the misconceptions that, most of us are rich. But the reality is that we are struggling and we need a lot of jobs. And currently there's a lot of work-study positions, but there's not a lot of ISEF positions. So ISEF is International Student Employment Fund. So basically, I want the university to look into opening more spots for international students, because in as much as you think that we have a lot of money, we are actually like struggling, and our study permits give us permission to work. So we need more job opportunities on campus. Thank you.
Okay, Mary, put for great points. I mean, the doing your own club swag is an amazing idea. I'm gonna touch back, unfortunately, on the parking issue. It's great. We need to do something about the parking problem. However, ticket infractions. The problem with it is right now the current ticket infraction is $20, $40 if you pay it late. The problem with that is I don't see why York would have to push down the traffic infractions. Of course, I don't find them really convenient either. The problem with those ticket infractions are if they're cut down, how much would they be cut down by? The daily pass. So the daily ticket actually costs $15 for us to park. It's only $5 more for the ticket, right? It's actually going to increase the volume of people that actually park and never pay, and that creates a huge problem for our actual ticketing, for the actual office that manages the ticket violations. So it would be a problem for them. Apart from that, one of the major things I do want to implement is I want to make changes to the Constitution and like the bylaw. I want to do bylaw amendments and then implement online voting, because we are a commuter school, as Mary mentioned. There is a huge problem with students arriving to this campus. Some of them leave the school, but that doesn't necessarily mean just because they've left the school they aren't part of us anymore. They've left the school, just the country, right? So they actually need to, like, they've left on vacation or they've gone back home because they are international students. As Mary said, like, there are a lot of international students here. It is important that we get their voice as well, because they are part of the school and they need to be active on such issues. It's absolutely ridiculous that last year's voter turnout was so low. I mean, if a collective body of individuals is represented by less than 10% of the population, where's the fairness in that, right? At that point, I just want to say, I want to close off with saying that I want to use this time to say that this is actually an appeal to students. Please get involved. Project your voice through these parties. The students are the driving force of this nation. The students fail to understand this. In Iran, they were the voice of the revolution. In Egypt, they were the pillars. And at 2016 elections, I want them to be the actual force of change.
Can I add to that? So basically, one person cannot, change the constitution. It has to be something that the students want. It has to pass through a committee before a constitution can actually be changed. And also, there was an AGM, as I said earlier. There was an AGM, and students basically preferred, students did not want online voting. They rather, have the poll. So I understand that he wants online voting, but that was clearly what the students wanted, and that's why they voted against online voting. So.
Yeah. Now I'm going to touch back on that. I did say Constitution. I meant bylaw amendments, right? I understand they do have to they have to go through a committee. However, apart from that, I do believe that the committee actually will look into this issue. The only reason why is because we're the last university in this entire nation that hasn't implemented online voting. There must be a problem there. We're the biggest commuter school around here. I mean, this is it's outrageous that we can't implement online voting. We're not one of the only nation. As a nation, we may not implement online voting, but the talks of it being used for municipal elections is out. It's on its way. Countries like Japan implement it for people that actually can't leave their house. We actually use it for people that can't leave their houses as well for certain issues, right? I believe online voting is an absolutely correct solution. It only makes sense because at this rate, we're only the rate of individuals voting is just decreasing. I don't want 10% representing the majority. There's no way that's fair. That's absolutely unfair. Online voting must be the only solution. I understand the AGM did vote on it. I mean, but we'll see what happens next. I mean, if the team left YU does come into power, I do believe that we're gonna bring forth online voting as an amendment. Of course, the committee will process it through. If they believe it to be right, it will go through. But I believe that if other universities have implemented it, right, why are we behind?
But we also have to focus on what the students want. And the students voted against that. That's not the most important thing that, is troubling, the York students right now. So we have to focus on the things that are actually very important.
Mary, my friend, if only 10,000 of these students vote, how does that even represent the majority? That's absolutely ridiculous. You're failing to recognize the issue that last year only 10,000 people voted, and those people only voted because they were on campus. There were people who probably wanted to vote, but they were out of the country and they dismissed it. They said it's fine, we'll do it next year. But they don't realize what they're doing. It's like people actually just don't realize they need to go out and vote. Like it's a major issue that they actually, like, people really seriously need to get up and actually go out and vote. And if they can't, that's fine. We'll implement online voting for them so they can do it from the accessibility of their own house. But when 10,000 vote for the 50,000 plus, where is the fairness in that? Please describe that to me. Where is the fairness in that?
It still goes back to the fact that students voted against online voting, and we should listen to the students.
I think in terms of some of the concerns around the AGM really were that some students expressed concerns that it wasn't very well, sort of, for lack of a better term, advertised to students. So I was just wondering if you two could maybe address it, accessibility in that sort of vein as well.
So I'm aware that this year the YFS put out, notifications about the elections. So I think it was on time, and a lot of students actually decided to run in this year's elections. So yeah.
As you mentioned, the accessibility to the AGM is another problem. I'm gonna go back to the 10,000 representing the 50. That's such a low margin of individuals representing us. If there's only 10,000 involved in the actual ballot process, how many would be involved in the actual AGM process? And let me be honest with you, I didn't know about the AGM last year. No one came up to me about it, and I was on this campus every single day of the week, and I would arrive here on Saturdays just to study because I actually work nearby. Like, I never knew about an AGM coming out. Somebody had to call me up and tell me about it, like, please come with us, this is why. I was called last minute to it. I couldn't make it myself. So I'm one of the prime examples. This is why online voting needs to exist, so it's more accessible. I know students who only come here twice a week with a full course load because they're taking almost 2 online courses, or because they strategically place all their courses on 2 days to avoid having to come to campus. One of the issues is going back to commuting. It's clear that online voting is the solution when Canada's other universities are implementing it. There must be a reason why we prevent online voting from taking place. The voter turnout skyrockets, and it represents the exact majority of people, what their views are.
But there's a reason why the federal government actually still uses paper ballots, and that's the system that we're following.
Again, we're not a federal government. We're a student union, a collective body of individuals that represents the students and their needs. And if other student unions have implemented online voting, it only makes sense that we implement online voting. Stop comparing us to a federal government. We have no such power. We are a union representing close to 60,000 students. That's about it.
So going back to my other point, at the AGM, the students voted and said no online voting, so we should listen to the students.
I'm going to return back to the AGM and said it was not advertised enough, not enough people arrived to it.
I think we can go back and forth quite a lot on this one. So I want to ask at this point, if elected VP operations, would either of you advertise the AGM on social media? Because I think that seems to be the concern that's coming up on social media and to students in person.
Of course, I'm a very sociable person, so I'll be on the floor definitely talking to students about this. I'll be on social media as well, with my personal account, with the YFS account. I'll tell everybody on my team, definitely, promote this. I don't see why students should not be there, so I'm going to try my best with my team to make sure that we get the word out and everybody's there.
I would agree with Mary there. We do need to get a lot of students out for the AGM. It's not good that students actually tend to ignore these issues. One of the primal reasons is there is this attitude inside of York that I'm only here for 4 years. I've heard students say that before, which isn't correct. This is your 4 years, and after that you become an alumni, but you always are recognized by York. Please do come out to the AGMs and voice your opinions. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. We even take criticism, honestly. Criticize me, bring me down on what we think I'm doing wrong. If I am elected, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me me what I can do better for you, right? As a VP of operations, one of the primal factors for me is I want to be able to serve those who did not vote for me as well, just to kind of bring them over to, not necessarily bring them over to my side, but actually unify them with the rest of the student union.
Great, and we can proceed to closing remarks.
Right, so I'm a very passionate leader who will never stop working until the work is done. And as you can see right here, my team is, a bunch of beautiful students who actually represent, the diversity at York University. So I want you folks to come out next week, Tuesday to Friday, so from February 9th to February 12th. Make sure you come out, and make sure you come out to vote the Student Action Team. Thank you.
As an ex-fraud analyst and a current bank employee, I do understand the need for audits and the need for financial expenditures to be available for students. One of the major issues for me is providing audits to students. Please do come out and vote for Lift YU on February 9, 10, 11, and 12, myself for VP Operations, and help us lift your campus experience.
That concludes Excalibur's 2016 YFS elections for the VP Operations candidates. Next up will be the VP Equity candidates. Stay with us.